Grace and peace to you on this beautiful day that the Lord has made. Good morning and welcome to our joint clergy retirement planning session with the clergy of both the Baltimore, Washington and Peninsula, Delaware Episcopal area. My name is Frances Payne. I am the Benefits and HR Director of the Baltimore, Washington. My supporting team members are the Benefits Administrator, Terry Clary in the Peninsula, Delaware Conference, and Karen Conroy in the Baltimore, Washington Conference. Please feel free to reach out to any one of them if you have any questions. Leading us through the pension plans today, we have Cheryl Archer and Todd Krevestin, both benefits educators at WESPA Benefits and Investments. Cheryl just celebrated her 5th anniversary with WESPA, but has been in the insurance and retirement industry for over 25 years. She feels truly rewarded helping those who serve by breaking down to understand retirement concepts into easier to understand topics. She's happy to be here with us today. And Todd has been with WESPA for over 12 years and has a passion for the health and wellness programs offered by WESPA. He enjoys sharing his knowledge with participants to get the most out of the program. He's taken that passion into educating clergy and lay participants regarding their retirement plans to make sure they have a good understanding of their salary in retirement. Yes, it's a salary in retirement. He's happy to be here with us today. What you will not be hearing today on this platform is retiree medical. Retiree medical is a benefit, it's a conference by conference benefit. So if you want information on eligibility and funding, I encourage you to call the respective benefits offices and we'll set up a one-on-one time to go over this benefits with you. Please feel free to do that. We thank you once more for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us today. We hope you find this information helpful. To lead us all, I'll now call on District Superintendent of the Upper Shore District in Peninsula, Delaware, Reverend Elmer Davis, to open us with a prayer.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, as we gather today to reflect upon our journey approaching retirement, we come with hearts filled with gratitude for the experience and the relationships we have built along the way. We seek guidance and wisdom as we navigate this significant transition. May we approach this new chapter with clarity in our purpose and compassion for ourselves and others. Help us to embrace the opportunities that lie ahead and to let go of any fears of uncertainties that may linger. Grant us strength to support one another, sharing insights and encouragement as we move forward. May this time be filled with joy, discovery, and renewal of a sense of purpose, allowing us to contribute to our church and community in meaningful ways. And as we step into this next phase, let us remember the lessons learned and the love shared, carry them with us as we explore new horizons. We ask this in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Cheryl, it's all yours.
All right,
Thank you.
we are here. Thank you very much, Reverend Elmer, for that beautiful prayer. We are here to provide you information regarding that road to retirement. So I do want to let you know that this information is being recorded. So if you want to review it at a later date and time, you're more than welcome to do so. And also I want to make sure that you, if you have any questions along the way, Todd and I are here. We will be presenting back and forth, and please use that Q&A area to actually put your questions in there. We'll be answering them along the way, and if we need to, we will answer them live as well. But we will definitely be doing that. So with that in mind, I am going to share my screen. And hopefully all of these, the technology works out well for us here. And let's see here. I'm going to share the screen, and here we go. Do that. I'm going to then do this. Swap. Now, how does that look for everyone? Does that look good? Give me a thumbs up, Todd. Is that good?
Looks great, Cheryl.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So again, here's our road to retirement. And again, Todd and I are actually going to be tag teaming presenting this morning for you. So again, thank you very much for having us and sharing during this time. We're going to talk about that road to retirement. You guys are here because you want to understand what the steps are for retirement. So that's what we're here, and we're going to have actually describe those for you. We're going to talk about the 2025 retirement process. Now, if you're not going to be in retiring in 2025, maybe a few years down the line, the process is still the same, but it's always great to get this information. So, and then come back and hear it again later on as you're getting closer. So the examples that we're going to be using is someone who's going to be retiring as of July 1st of 2025. But again, if that's not you, the concepts are still the same. We will go through all of their Westpath retirement plans that we have, starting with our current and then going backwards. And then we'll also be talking about the voluntary plan, which is that UMPIP, or United Methodist Personal Investment Plan. Also be talking about life stage retirement income and that wonderful program that we have, award-winning program, in fact. So I'll go through all of that information and give you some more information regarding that. Housing allowance exclusion, such a wonderful benefit, tax advantage that plan that clergy have. Want to make sure that you're understanding of that provision. We'll also go through some of the death and disability benefits, participant resources. There's a lot of them. Want you to be able to take advantage of them. And then we'll also come back and do a benefit access demo so that you know exactly where to go, how to pick your benefits, and seeing how easy of a process it can be. But know that we are always here. Westpath is here. Our customer service team is here to help you through this next phase of your journey. Okay. So with that in mind, a lot to talk about. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's think about some of these common questions that you may have about retiring, such as maybe, is this the right time? Or should I wait? Definitely something to think about. Are you going to have enough money? Or where are you going to be living? Are you ready? Or if you're married, is your spouse ready? There's going to be some different dynamics in the home. So are you guys ready? So just things to think about. And of course, I know a lot of the people are thinking, am I gonna have enough money? That's where we come into play. I can actually help you through that process and show you what your retirement money and salary in retirement will look like. That's what we have benefit projections for. We are in the process of updating those right now with the new Compass plan that's coming into play, but we can still help you through those benefit projections. Where are you going to live? Possibly if you're in a parsonage, this may be the first time you're actually, maybe going to own a home, or are you going to be potentially moving maybe to where your children are, your grandchildren are, or staying where you're at? That all different things that you might need to think about, once you get into retirement. And also, what are you going to do with your time? I know that I like to go antiquing, and I like to fix up certain furniture items to either have in my home or to actually sell. What are you going to do with your time? Maybe you're going to do some golfing, maybe do some fishing, just traveling in general. That is a passion of mine as well, and I would love to travel. And so maybe that's yours as well. So again, what are you going to do with all that extra time that you're going to have? So definitely things to think about when you're actually retiring. Now I want to go through all of the provisions for retirement. So according to the Book of Discipline, chapter 357, there are 4 different ways that you can actually retire. First one is actually a normal retirement. What we deem as being normal is actually being age 65 or 40 years of service. The main word in that is or, not both, or either 65 or 40 years of service. That is considered normal retirement. For the next one, it's early retirement. So that's going to be age 62 or 30 years of service. That's another way that you can retire according to the Book of Discipline. The next way is a mandatory retirement, and that's to age 72. So we want you to be able to enjoy retirement. So you do need to stop working by the age of 72. So that some people retire before then, but some people just love what they do, and I totally understand that. But you do need to try to enjoy your golden years and after 72. Or the last one is actually retiring with a 20-year service. That's a voluntary retirement with 20 years of service. So those are your 4 options that you have. Now I want to go through the 2025 retirement process. Now, the process that you have is fairly detailed. We do have a retirement checklist that we go through, and we actually created that to help new retirees with what they need to do and when. So that will actually be, we can send it out to all of the, we actually send this to Francis and Karen and Terry to give you that information in a nice, 1-page guide for you. But to go through it, the first thing you want to do is register for benefits access. Benefits access, provided you have an account, with us at Westpath through the UMPIP or the other retirement mandatory retirement plans that we have. Benefits access is your guide and your vehicle that you'll be utilizing to actually elect your benefits. And we will go through a demo later on in our presentation, but that is where you have all the information that you can possibly think of. That information as far as how much your account balances are, you can run your projections there. There's lots of different questions, a lot of different tools and articles that you can actually utilize and see. So it's a great resource for you. One thing that you want to do also is verify all of your personal information that is on benefits access. Make sure it's up to date. Sometimes our phone numbers change, or we used to have a landline and now we only have cell phones. So want to make sure that information is up to date in our system. You also want to confirm that your spouse's information is correct. Now, why would that matter? Well, sometimes some of the benefits that we're going to be looking at has a spousal component. So again, you want to make sure that that information is up to date. Also, you want to check with that your clergy service record is correct. That is information you can also find on benefits access, but it also is part of the benefit projection that we usually do as well. If there's any questions or updates that need to happen, definitely contact your conference office, and they will be able to help you through and make sure that is updated, as that can change the benefits that you receive from Westpath. Next is that you want to verify your beneficiaries. Now, that's something that Todd and I do, is something that we review when we have a benefit education consultation. At the end of our consultation, we go through and make sure and review if their beneficiaries are up to date, if they don't have anything, or if they want to change that. There's a way that you can do that actually in benefits access, or we've got a great customer solutions team who can walk you through how that can be updated in benefits access. But anything that is in our system, that supersedes Will's. So we always want to make sure that your wishes are being met and that the beneficiaries you have on file are the ones that you truly want to have. All right, so we're talking about that retirement and that it goes through benefits access. Again, you want to verify all of that information you have. There's lots of different ways that you can actually receive money, and you can explore that using the life stage retirement income. And there's different tools that you can utilize to see how much money that you can actually receive. And then that's actually where you elect your 2025, or when you retire and when you want to start commencing your benefits, that's where you will be choosing what those benefits will be. Now, again, looking at somebody who's retiring as of July 1st of 2025, you do need to have those elections in place by Monday, June 30th at 3 p.m. Central. Okay. We don't want you to wait until then, but then again, you have plenty of time to review all of your benefits. And again, we are here to help you. And I want to show you a very happy looking team. Look at them. Aren't they great? So this is your dedicated retirement team. You can contact them with any questions, concerns during this process and after. Wonderful team to walk you through any questions you may have. Okay. So before I start going through the other sources of income, any questions so far, or have we received any questions yet?
No questions yet, Cheryl.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. So we're going to start. I want to have you start to understand your sources of income. Make sure that you are knowing what the most common retirement plans are. So these retirement plans that we're going to be going through today are the Clergy Retirement Security Program, or what we affectionately call CRSP. That is the current plan we are in now, and we will discuss that plan. We're also going to discuss the Ministerial Pension Plan, or MPP. You know, at Westpath, we really do like our acronyms. So we're going to, if I say one and you don't know what that means, please, let us know in that Q&A box. Hey, Cheryl, what's that? What does that MPP mean again? So feel free to stop us and we can walk through that. Another one we may have, so if we have any people who are out there who have worked prior to 1982, shout out if you're out there. So we also have what's called a pre-82 plan. So we'll go through that quickly as well. So also we want to talk about your participation in UMPIP, and maybe you happen to have any other plans as well. So we'll talk about that. Hopefully you're already, putting money into the UMPIP. And it's just helping build up your retirement salary that you will be receiving in retirement. So that's always good to know how much you have. But also, if you have a spouse, we want you to think about that spouse's source of income. We want you to think about the whole money that you'll be having in your household. So that does include a spouse if there is one. And then also, what about Social Security? Are you eligible for that? Do you know how much you could receive from Social Security? If not, we definitely encourage you to go out to create your own Social Security account at ssa.gov. This is a very secure site. They go through different questions in order to set you up, and they're going to ask some pretty personal questions, like maybe what was the car that you had in 1990, or what color was that car? So very personal question, but again, hopefully you should know these answers. And once you're set up, then you'll be able to get a listing of all the years that you've worked and all of the salary that you've had for those years of service. So when I set mine up, it actually, it shows when I first started working when I was 16 years old, and I worked as a parking lot attendant at a county park. And it's like, okay, so I made like $1,000 for that year, like, whew. Which was great at the time, of course, but and then you can see how much it's increased since then, and then see how much you could actually receive as Social Security benefits when you're at that time for retirement. Okay. All right, so now that was some great information as far as the about your accounts and what you need to do and think about when you retire. Now we're going to go through all of the Westpath retirement plans that we have. And as we talk about this, again, we're talking about the road to retirement. So when we're on the road, we're actually in a car, right? So we've got all these different cars that are associated with our retirement plans. So the first one we're going to talk about is the most current one that we have, and that is CRSP. So we're going to hop in that car and we're going to go off to CRSP land. Now, CRSP has been effective since January 1st of 2007. It's had an update in it regarding a particular change, but we will go into that in just a bit. CRSP is actually made up of two components: defined benefit, which means it's a monthly benefit. It's like a pension. It's an annuity. Annuity is something that you are not going to be able to outlive. So you're always going to have that until you pass. And the second piece is defined contribution. That's going to be an account balance. So add those two together, that's going to be your benefit for CRSP. It's a really unique type of plan where you have these two components working together. So I want to talk about each one individually and how they are, when they add those together, and how that is your CRSP benefit. So we're going to talk about that defined benefit first. Now, this defined benefit is not a balance, not a balance. It's actually a formula that we can actually calculate multiplying three components together. What are those three components, you ask? I'm glad you asked. So those three components are actually, the first one is your denominational average compensation, again, acronym DAC. We actually then multiply that by a factor, and that factor is either 1.25% or 1%. The reason for the change is that in the 2012 General Conference, that factor number changed from 1.25 to 1% to help sustain the life of the plan. So that's why there's going to be two line items on your benefit projection and two line items for the calculation, since we are doing a calculation. The next is multiplying that by credited service during that period of time. Okay, so DAC, factor, time. Okay, those are your three components. So let's go into a little bit more detail as far as what these actually are. The denominational average compensation is actually an average of the planned compensations of clergy serving full-time appointments. That's your keywords there, full-time appointments. All right. For 2024, that amount is a little bit over $78,000. And for 2025, it's a little over $80,000. General Conference came up and said, okay, to make it a little bit easier, it's going to be raised 2% each year for every year going forward. So we'll always know what the next year's amount is going to be by multiplying the previous year by 2%. Okay, so that is what that's our first number for our calculation. The second number is the factor. Now, again, this plan started in January 1st of 2007. And when the plan started, it actually had that factor of 1.25%. Again, with that change in General Conference of 2012, we actually reduced that down, and that was effective January 1st of 2014. And that reduced that factor down to just 1%. Okay. Now we have those two factors, and that is the second piece of our components. The third piece is actually the credited service. So during those two particular time periods, for January 1st of 2007 through December 31st of 2013, that is a closed block of time, and that's 7 years if you were full-time. If you had service prior to 2007, then you're under the different plan of MPP, which we'll talk about next. So for this period of time, you worked full-time, then you had 7 years of service. For the next time period of January 1st of 2014 through our calculation here, what we're doing of June 30th of 2025. So you're retiring as of July 1st of 2025. That time period for that block of time is 11 and a half years. So now that we have all of our numbers, we're able to do the calculation. All right, so let's do that. I like math, so this is actually, I'm geeking out for this. All right, so when we do our calculation, we have our DAC of 80,297. It's the 2025 DAC. Then we have our factor of 1.25%, which equates out to 0.0125. For that first time period, it was 7 years of service. So we multiply all three of these together and we get a number, an annual amount of $7,026. We pay benefits on a monthly basis, so we need to divide that amount by 12. And then we get that monthly amount of $585. Now we go over to the right-hand side and we're doing the calculation for January 1st of 2014 through June 30th of 2025. As you see, we have the same denominational average compensation of the 80,297. The only difference here that factor changed of 1%, and that equates out to 0.01. Again, that time period for that time is 11 and a half years. Multiply all three of those together, come up with an annual amount of $92.34. Again, we pay benefits on a monthly basis, so we divide it by 12 and come up with the monthly amount of $769. So for adding those two amounts together for that total time period of January 1st of 2007 through June 30th of 2025, that amount comes to $1,354. Now, is this going to be what everybody gets? No, because there can be differences. The choices that you make can actually impact your retirement income. What are some of these options that could change that? Are you having a surviving spouse? If you do, then that can actually impact the amount that you receive on a monthly basis. What kind of a cost of living adjustment are you going to choose? We call that a COLA benefit. And the minimum is 2%, but it can go all the way up to 5%. The higher the cost of living adjustment, the lower your initial monthly benefit will be. Also, what if you're going to be retiring early? So according to that book, you could retire early. So age 62 or 30 years of service, that can actually impact the amount of money that you receive in retirement based on this CRSP benefit. Okay, so with that in mind, I want to kind of go through just a little bit about what the life and survivor benefits could be. Whenever we talk about survivor benefits and annuities, we're going to be talking about annuity types, the life and a percentage. The life is always going to be the life of the clergy person, okay? So life equals clergy. Percentage is going to be for the surviving spouse, okay? So when you look at these, life benefit and then the percentage of that life benefit is for the surviving spouse. When we look at the cost of living, you want to think about what you will be needing for cost of living increases over time. So you want to think about your age and spouse's age, the family longevity that you may have. My parents are still around. They're actually 85 and 90. So hopefully I have that as a longevity gene in myself as well. So I maybe want to think about something, maybe a higher COLA along the way if I can, have that lower monthly payment to start with. So just something to think about. Think about the health of yourself and your spouse. What might be a COLA option best for you? And again, think about the other sources of income that you may have available. Maybe you have some other money outside of WestPath. Maybe the spouse's income, maybe they have a retirement plan outside. So again, a lot of different things to think about. And I'm just going to throw that in here because EY Financial Planning Services is a tremendous resource for you. So if you haven't thought about them or utilized them, highly encourage you to utilize them. This you change in your life, coming up to retirement and thinking about what you want to do. EY Financial Planning Services is a wonderful resource, and it's a no cost to you. So it's a wonderful option to explore when you get to that. We'll talk a little bit more about them later on when we talk about our resources, but just want to mention that here because this is information that you might want to talk to them about as well. Now, when I talked about earlier about having a potential early retirement, I wanted to kind of give you an example of what that could look like. Now, when we did our calculation for the CRSP benefit, we came up with that base amount of $1,354. Now, with this example, I wanted to kind of give you someone who's actually Reverend Wesley here. He's actually going to be retiring at age 63, but he does not have the 40 years of service, so he doesn't qualify for the normal retirement. So if he were to actually retire early, that can actually affect the monthly benefit that he receives. If you were to retire early and you wanted to start commencing your benefits, that's the key part there. If you want to start commencing your benefits, you could have a reduction in this CRSP defined benefit amount. The reduction is 0.5% per month of before you actually reach that quote age 65 or normal retirement. So in this case, 0.5% equates to 6% per year. And if he's retiring 2 years early, then that's a 12% reduction. We take that original calculation of the 1354, reduce it by 12%, which comes out to $162. So then this person will actually receive a benefit of $1,192. Okay, now that's just showing an example of someone who's retiring early. If they choose, if they retire early but choose not to start the benefits right away, you can wait to actually start your benefit until you return or attain the age of 65. Then you would not have that reduction in the benefit. Okay. Now, that was the defined benefit piece of the CRSP plan. Before I go into the defined contribution, any questions on this information that we've gone through so far? Just going to take a quick drink here.
Cheryl, we do have one question, and it just came in. It says
Yes.
if you have multiple years at 50% as well as full-time service, how is the credited service calculated?
So great question. So we do calculate the years at 50%. So that would be like part of that service. So if you add 2 years together, that would be 1 full year. So we do equate that out as being like halftime. So if you have like 10 years at full time and then 6 years at halftime, that would you add that in. So that would be a total of 3 years. So you have 13 years of service. I hope that makes sense.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. All right, so now we've gone through the defined benefit. Now we're going to quickly go through the part of the defined contribution. So that's your DC, and that is your account balance. Whenever you have an account balance, you actually have flexibility with that. So again, the monthly benefit is an annuity. You're going to receive that for your lifetime. Excuse me, for an account balance, you have flexibility, and you can actually have a lot of different ways that you can actually utilize that money. So let's talk about in pre-retirement. So before you retire, you have that as an account balance, and you have money from matching and non-matching contributions. So from yourself, and if your employer puts money in, then you have that as well. Then you also have options to self-manage or use life stage retirement income. Now, what does that mean? That means that you can actually, if you self-manage, you can actually pick the funds that you want to have your money in. You decide how much, for each, like maybe a stock or a bond, you decide which funds that you want to be in. You can mix and match however you'd like, or you could have life stage retirement income, life stage investment management actually manage your money for you. If you wind up choosing that, that is something that you'd be in a great company with, because about 80% of our participants are actually in that. Now, what does that mean? It means that we actually, our service team actually here determines what would be the best mix of funds for you, based on your goals and where you're at in your life. So if that winds up being, let's say 70% for stocks and 30% for bonds, if that winds up moving to like 50-50, then we're going to shave some off of the bonds, put more money into stocks to get you back to that 70-30 level. So that's where the life stage investment management actually handles that for you. We do a lot of that. We do all that work behind the scenes. You don't have to think about it. So we like to say that it puts it on autopilot. Okay. Now, that was in pre-retirement. Now, in retirement, you actually have money that's available as cash distributions. How can you get that money? You can get it through life stage retirement income. And that is a program where, award-winning program where we want you to be able to enjoy retirement. We want you to not worry if you're going to have enough money until you pass. So a couple different ways that you can look at this. I like to say, there's two different ways, and I'm going to tell you both of them. I like to say that we don't want you to take money out too fast. We don't want you to take money out too slow. We want you to take it out just right. And also we're in that football time period right now. So think of this as like a goalpost. We want you to kick it right down the field goal. Okay, right here. See, you want to kick right there. Again, we want you to have money in retirement that's in the sliding scale. So you have room on either side in order to be able to receive a monthly amount, again, that would last your lifetime. That's what life stage retirement income does. Okay. Or again, you can always self-manage. You can always pick your own funds that you want. If you wanted to change between self-managed and life stage, you can change that anytime. You're not locked in. So I know a lot of people actually put money or do it, have life stage retirement income, actually do that for them, or life stage investment management do that for them while they're active. But then they want to go ahead and maybe say, hey, I want to manage it on my own afterwards, after they retire, because I have more time. They can do that, but then it's like, oh wait, maybe it's not what I want to do. I want to do other things, and not worry about the stock market or bond funds. Then they put it back into life stage investment management. But again, in retirement, you tell us how you want that money. So either you want to have life stage retirement income, actually find out what that amount would be, in retirement, and actually receive that on a monthly basis, or you tell us how you want that money. Do you want $500 one month? Maybe $5,000 the next month? You can tell us how much you want per month. You can also roll that money over into UMPIP. That's definitely something that you can do for that defined contribution, that account balance. You can actually leave the money on account until you actually reach that minimum distribution age, which is either 73 or 75. And we'll tell you which one that would be later on. Any money that's in the account balance upon your passing will be passed on to your beneficiaries. So that's where the flexibility comes into play for the account balances, and why it's so important to have your beneficiaries updated on benefits access, because again, the money that's left will go to beneficiaries. Defined benefit does not go to beneficiaries, but defined contribution does. All right, so that explains the Clergy Retirement Security Program, or CRSP. Any questions on this plan, which is the most current plan, the one that you're in, before we head off into NPP land? All right, we're going to head back in that car and we are going to go through and talk about MPP. And we're actually going to, I'm going to move this over to Todd, and Todd is going to take it from here.
Thank you, Cheryl.
You're
And
welcome.
I will preface this at the conclusion of my segment, we will be taking a 10-minute break. So let's talk about MPP, or Ministerial Pension Plan. And that's from service from 82 to 2006. So the plans do change over time. You'll probably notice some similarities between CRSP and MPP, particularly when you begin the MPP benefit. Because right now, it's an account balance. So you're able to log into your benefits access account and see that those contributions grow based on life stage investment management. So life stage investment management is required to manage that account balance. And then when you retire, you have the choice to begin that benefit. And as of General Conference of 2024, just this last May, there's another option. So the original option was that 65% of that MPP account balance, when you begin that benefit, you choose an annuity, and then that's a lifetime monthly payment that you can't outlive. That 35% remains an account balance. Account balance, you could think of, it offers flexibility because you get to decide what you're going to do with that money. There are 6 annuity options to choose from: 3 single life and 3 joint annuities. A joint annuity is that life and survivor. Cheryl mentioned it starts off with life and it finishes with a percentage. So life in 70%, life in 85%, life in 100. And I'll cover that in a couple of slides. There's also 5 COLA options. So COLA in caps means cost of living adjustment. And that's the percentage that you get to choose, so your payment will go up by that percentage that you choose. For MPP, you could pick 0, 2, 3, 4, or 5% COLA. So now let's just talk a little bit more about those annuity options, or the options for that 65%. So this shows that first option. So the 65% of your MPP balance at the time of benefit commencement. So if you retire and begin this benefit July 1 of 25 or July 1 of 26, you have the option to choose that lifetime annuity, and you have one of 6 annuities to choose from. Option 2 is to move that 65% of MPP into life stage, and then life stage will generate that payment for you. And Cheryl did a great job of explaining the goalposts. So there's 2 goalposts. One goalpost this side, you take the money out too quickly, that's detrimental to retirement, right? Because once that balance goes away, that payment goes away. On the other side of the goalpost, this side, that's the retiree is not sure how much they could take out of their account safely. So they take out a lot less. And because of that, they're not able to live that retirement that they were planning on. I know when I retire, I plan on getting into photography, take a couple of photography classes, maybe even buy a new camera. So then if you're not sure how much you can take out, you might pull back on your lifestyle. Well, that's not completely detrimental, but you're not living that retirement that you had intended to do. So that life stage retirement income kicks the ball, or calculates the payment right down in the middle of the goalposts, and it calculates it in that safety zone. Life stage is something that you can opt into or out of at any time, and it costs, there's no additional cost to the participant. So 2 options for that 65%. Either option, in either case, that 35% left over remains an account balance, giving you choice. So we'll just recap those first two choices. So when you begin the benefit in retirement, you have the ability, you have the choice to select a lifetime annuity, and you'll select one of 6 annuity options. And then you'll also pick a cost of living adjustment or COLA. Option 2 is to move that 65% into life stage retirement income and then receive monthly installments from it. The 35% remains an account balance in with either option, and then you get to decide what to do with that money. So this is a table of life and survivor annuities. So it's a joint annuity. It's covering 2 people. These are the same annuity types for MPP and CRSP. In this example, it's using an account balance of approximately $400,000 and a 2% COLA. Okay. That means this is an MPP, right? It's an MPP example. You'll see under annuity type, there's life in 100%, life in 85%, life in 70%. Life means life of the clergy person. Okay. Should the clergy person pass away before their spouse, then that percentage represents the percentage of the clergy payment that continues on to the surviving spouse. So the biggest number that we have in the table is life in 70, and it's $1,235. And it only pays out from one amount, only one column at a time. So if you choose life in 70, then that payment would, in this example, would be $1,235. Now it's life in 70, so 70% of that payment is $865. That's what would continue on to the surviving spouse. And I've heard clergy say, "Oh, Todd, my spouse will need a little bit more than that. So what else do you have?" Well, let's take a look at life in 85. So life in 85, the payment drops about $30 for the clergy person, but it goes up about 160 or so for the surviving spouse. So now it's 1,024. Life in 100, it's the same payment. So 1177 for the clergy person, 1177 for the surviving spouse. This is an example of, it's still an MPP example. It's the life only annuities. So you'll see now we only have 2 columns in this table. All of the annuity types start out with life, meaning covers the lifetime of the clergy person. And when we look at life only, that's $1,395. That's a larger payment. And the reason why that payment is larger is because it's only covering one lifetime, not 2, as in the joint annuities on the prior slide. It is possible for married clergy to select a single life annuity. In that case, the surviving spouse should really have their own retirement income, inheritance, because if this is chosen, then this benefit will end upon the passing of the clergy person. And the spouse actually needs to sign a document indicating that they understand they're waiving their rights to that retirement income. So simpler. It's only 2 table, only 2 columns in this table. Annuity type, all begin with life only. Then we have life in 5-year certain and life in 10-year certain. And sometimes these are called life in 5 or life in 10-year guaranteed. So that just means that payment is guaranteed for that period of time. But Todd, these annuity types start out with life. Yes, it covers the lifetime of the clergy person. But if they pick life in 5-year certain and they pass away after 4 years, well, that payment will continue for another year for a total of 5 to anyone that they chose. And this doesn't have to be based on relationship. It doesn't have to be a child. It could be a granddaughter. In 1 week, a couple summers ago, I had 2 clergy say they were picking the life and 5 years certain because they were taking care of a grandchild or they were providing income for a grandchild in college. And if they passed away, they wanted to make sure that that payment would continue. So they both picked life and 5 years certain. Now it starts off with life. So let's say you pick life and 5 years certain. You pass you at 65, you pass away at 95, you had a wonderful 30-year retirement. You will have received payments up to the point where you pass away at 95, and then that payment ends. You pass away within that term, that payment continues for the length of that term. Do we have any questions from that?
We are
Cheryl?
good.
Okay.
Let's see. We do have a question here that under CRSP, the DAC increases 2% a year, if I heard correctly, and that is correct. Once this compass comes into effect, the DAC continues to increase, or will it be frozen, i.e. not increase once compass goes into effect? So so that is correct that the DAC will continue to increase for the CRIS benefit. And then they're also saying that, for example, if someone retiring in 2030 for purposes of CRSP, will the DAC be fixed at the 2025 or will it have continued to increase each year up to the 2030 for purposes of computing the defined benefit portion of CRSP at the time of retirement in 2030? So Todd, yes, that under that question, yes, the person will receive the 2% increase of that DAC all the way up through 2030. That will continue to increase. It's not going to be frozen as of 2025. Correct, Todd?
That is correct.
Okay, that is going to be the only question that we've received so far. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Cheryl. So now let's talk COLA, or cost of living adjustment. And I'm sure there's a diet soda joke in the COLA reference. I just haven't figured it out yet. But COLA, cost of living adjustment. You get to choose the COLA for MPP. You also get to choose the COLA for CRSPDB. So that's your choice. That's wonderful. Not every plan has a COLA, and not every plan provides choice. So both of those aspects are unique in the pension realm. With MPP, you can actually pick a 0% COLA and then 2, 3, 4, or 5. And 2, 3, 4, and 5 are the choices that you have for CRSP DB. And they don't have to be the same. They can be different, okay? EY loves to talk about COLAs, cost of living adjustments, because then that kind of gets into a bigger picture of the economy, where it's heading. They're a financial company, so they have a framework that the benefit educators don't necessarily have. EY can actually help you decide on a COLA for the DB, for CRSP, and MPP. So we would encourage you to reach out to EY. We have their phone number a little bit later. You might ask, does the COLA impact the initial benefit amount? And yes, it does. And I'll show you how. Essentially, the higher the COLA, the lower your initial monthly payment. Or as Bob Christoffel would say, it'll lower your payment right out of the gate, right when you begin that benefit, okay? So along the left-hand column, we have monthly income. Along the bottom, we have age, 65 out to 93. So we're just going to use this as an example to illustrate how that COLA changes that initial monthly payment, okay? So purple is 2%. It's right about $1,700 a month, and you'll see that grow each year by 2%. Now, 5% COLA is in orange, and that brings us down to just under $1,200. So that was a pretty significant drop. Don't worry about selecting a COLA during your benefit selection process, you'll be able to see the impact of changing that COLA real time. So as part of the demo today, Cheryl will probably show that section. If not, we can show you that on a consultation later in the year. So 5% COLA, we're down to just a little under 1,200. I mentioned with MPP, you can pick a 0% COLA and you'll see, oh, that's the highest monthly payment, right? So the highest monthly payment is a 0% COLA, but eventually it'll be the lowest payment because it's not going to go up. And then 3 and 4 in yellow and green are nestled right there in line. Highest COLA 0, lowest initial monthly payment is a 5% COLA. But with longevity, the higher COLA provides a larger payment. The key is longevity. So you have a number of choices with MPP. It's an account balance. And like with all the account balances, you could leave it untouched until, in this case, the federal government, the IRS, wants to start getting some tax revenue from you. So you can leave it on account until 73 or 75. And those two different numbers are known as the required minimum distribution age. You may have heard over the last couple of years that the IRS has increased that required minimum distribution age. Rest assured that when Westpath receives this kind of direction, we institute it in our systems, but we also let you know. And as you get closer to 73 or 75, we will notify you that you'll need to begin taking that distribution. So you can leave it there until 73 or 75. And then you have those two choices with that 65% balance option. One option is to annuitize that 65%. The other option is to move it into life stage retirement income and then take a monthly distribution from that 65%. There's pros and cons to that. And what we wanted to do is to be able to give more flexibility to the retirees. I would suggest having a conversation with your financial planner and even EY. Another option is just to begin taking a distribution from that 35% and leave the 65% until a later date. And that later date is required minimum distribution. So it's 73 or 75. And that depends on your birthday, when you were born. You can also roll that 35% into your MPP, and I believe most clergy do, and then begin taking a distribution from there. So that is MPP. Do we have any questions on MPP, Cheryl?
We do not. You're doing great.
Perfect. Thank you. So let's continue. And we're going to go back a little farther. We're going to go back to pre-82. We have a large group today, and we might have 1 or 2 participants in the pre-82 plan. So you're right. So pre-82 means this is for service prior to January 1, 1982. So pre-82 is an additional lifetime monthly benefit, and Westpath will calculate it 2 ways. So the first way we do the calculation is just the number of pre-82 years of service multiplied by the annual conference past service rate. Each year, the past service rate is, I believe, voted on, and in most cases, it generally tends to go up over time. So that's the first way it's calculated. The second way is that Westpath will convert a defined benefit service money, or DBSM, into an annuity. Whichever way provides the higher payment, Westpath will just provide you that payment. We won't send you a letter and say, would you like $145 a month, or would you like $207 a month? Everybody would say, send me the 207. So we save the stamp instead. So we'll do that each year. So this is for Baltimore, Washington. So PSR is 874, 2 years of service. That comes out to 1748. That's an annual benefit. It's paid monthly, so we divide by 12, and the past service rate generates a monthly payment of $145.67. And then here at Westpath, we convert that DBSM money into an annual benefit. This generates an annual benefit of $24.84. Divide that by 12, that's $207 per month. We'll just go ahead and send you the $207 a month. And now if we look at the Pendel, there we go. We look at the Pendel, the math is the same. The past service rate's a little different. So it's 123 versus 207. We would just send you the 207. And that'll be calculated every year. And we'll just automatically give you the higher of the two payments. So for Baltimore, Washington, for a single life, for a single participant at the time of retirement, it's single, there is no refund. That payment will continue until the passing of the clergy person. For married participants, Baltimore, Washington, it's life in 85. So the spouse would receive 85% of the clergy person payment. Rules for Pendel, same thing, single participant, it's single life annuity, and there's no refund. That benefit would end upon the participant's passing. Married clergy, life in 75. And incidentally, the annual conference sets that surviving spouse benefit. So that was pre-82. That's pretty straightforward. I do have half a dozen more slides to go through or so, and then we'll be taking a break. So it looks like our last destination would be looking at UMPIP. Sometimes we call this the voluntary plan. It's known by a number of different things. It's also a defined contribution plan or a DC plan. And this is a plan that is available to clergy, but it's also available to lay. So Cheryl and I are actually participants in the UMPIP as lay employees of Westpath. These contributions are taken from the monthly or biweekly paycheck. So you'll contribute based on payroll deduction. You have a number of types of contributions that we'll talk about in a second. For clergy, if you contribute at least 1% into your UMPIP, you'll receive that 1% match on the CRS PDC. The annual contribution limits are set by the IRS each year. We typically find out about the upcoming year's contribution limits around October, November. And then with this plan, you also have the ability to either self-manage those account balances. So that means you get to decide which fund or funds your contributions go into, or you can use LifeStage Investment Management. And that's that autopilot solution that Cheryl talked about, where it picks your funds and puts the contributions into those funds based on your LifeStage Investment Management profile. So 2024 contribution limits, it's a big number. And occasionally when we present to big groups like this, you'll see some folks in the audience actually recoil because $23,000, it's about $2,000 a month. That's a significant contribution. So that's the limit this year for before tax and Roth combined. If you're over the age of 50, like I am, then you can contribute an additional $7,500 in what they call catch-up contributions for a total of $30,500. That's a big number. What we like to say is contribute what you can reasonably afford and then make a plan to increase that over time. And I'll be candid. So my wife and I, each year, if we get a raise, we increase our respective contribution. So I'm in UMPIP, she works for a different company, but we increase our contribution by 1%. And then as we find money, so 2 years ago, we paid off a car. So we increased my contribution by 1%. And then that car was unfortunately totaled. My son was fine. The other driver was fine. It was a terrific learning experience for a 17-year-old boy in the pouring rain. But now we had to go out and buy another car. So we actually, I reversed that change. So I went back, I decreased it by 1%. So I increased it because we paid off the car. We had, quote, extra money. After we needed to buy another car, I lowered it back a percentage. So point here is you can increase or decrease your contribution over time. A general uptrend, an increase in your contribution over time is a very good thing. The two most common contribution scenarios are before tax and Roth. And EY is a terrific resource to walk you through. Should you do Roth, maybe a combination of Roth or before tax, or just Roth? They can help you land on what's best for you. So before tax contribution is just that. So those contributions are taken off your paycheck before you pay federal taxes, lowering what you pay each year in federal taxes. The before tax contributions grow tax deferred until you take a distribution. When you take a distribution, you'll be taxed as ordinary income. As retired clergy, though, you'll have the ability to exclude some of or all of what you receive from Westpath from federal taxes. And I'll walk you through that housing allowance exclusion toward the end of today's presentation. So I would say the majority of clergy, majority of UMPIP participants contribute on a before tax basis. Save taxes now, and then allow those contributions to grow. Roth contributions, I believe we added in 2017 or 2018, so it's within the last 7 or 8 years. And a Roth contribution is an after-tax contribution. So that means you pay your taxes on those earnings, and then that money goes into your account. It still grows tax deferred until you take a distribution. And if you meet the 2 criteria in the second bullet point, that distribution wouldn't have federal taxes on it. Okay, so you wouldn't be taxed federally. So that first contribution must be made 5 years before you start withdrawing Roth contributions. And you need to reach the age of 59 and a half. So once you reach those 2 thresholds, that distribution is tax free. And the interesting thing is, we talked about required minimum distributions. Your Roth contributions aren't subject to that required minimum distribution. You can take that out at any time beyond 59 and a half. So that was an interesting addition to the last couple of Secure Acts that they did. Another way to contribute to your UMPIP account is through a rollover. And the IRS allows several plans to be portable. That means you could take them with you should you leave an employer. That 401k, 403b, 457b can be rolled into your current company's 403b. And UMPIP is a 403b, so you can roll a prior employer's 401k into this. I did that a couple summers ago. I just got tired, and to be honest, I wasn't looking at that account as closely as I should have. And I had a couple fees that were hitting me. So I moved it away from the state of Illinois and moved it into my UMPIP account. So now I consolidated, right? Reduce the number of statements that I have to look at. To do a rollover, you would just use that incoming rollover form, and then you'd send to Westpath Benefits Department. There's some instructions also at the bottom of that page. Very easy to do. You can contribute. So if you're contributing more than 20, if you want to contribute more than 23,000, if you're under 50, or more than 30,500, if you're over the age of 50, you can continue to contribute on an after-tax basis up to that 69,000, whichever is greater, the lesser amount of either 69,000 or your salary. So you're able to contribute up to 100% of your salary, or 69,000, whichever is lower. So that is a wonderful opportunity there as well. I think for me to contribute that much money, I would need a couple part-time jobs.
We are going to start back up with Compass. So Compass is going to be a new retirement plan starting January 1st of 2026. And if you're retiring as of July 1st of 2025, this doesn't affect you. But we want to just kind of go through a little bit about Compass and what it is. So if you're active, you're going to be keeping those benefits that you previously earned under the legacy plans of the PDC, MPP, and CRSP. So just like when CRSP went into play, MPP was the legacy one. So will be CRSP will now be the legacy, and then Compass will be going forward. If you're already retired when Compass comes on, it's no impact to you whatsoever. There's going to be no change. You're still receiving all of the benefits that you were receiving before. Compass is for the people who are active, and that'll be the new mandatory retirement plan that we have. So what is it, and how is the money going to be put in? So here's the breakdown for Compass. It's coming up in 3 parts. The first part is where there's going to be a flat dollar amount put in per month for every participant who's in Compass. So $150 is going to go in per month, and that amount, excuse me, will increase over time. But it's going to be $150 per month. And so that's going to be just because you are and you're in the plan. That's your flat dollar contribution. Next is going to be pay dependent contribution. What that means is that your conference, your employer will be putting in 3% of your pay into the plan. Again, just for you being you. 3% is being put into your retirement, into the Compass, into your retirement plan, and that's nothing else that you need to do. It's automatically being done. The next piece is where you have a matching contribution. This is where you have some flexibility in this. If you put in 1%, the plan will also put in 1%. But if you put in 4%, the plan will also match up to 4%. So say, for example, you were to do, in which we, of course, we want you to be able to put in what you reasonably can afford. But if you're able to put in that 4% yourself, just 4% for you, you are going to be getting the 4% match. You're going to get that 3% just for being in the plan, plus that extra $150 a month. So 4% for you, you're going to be getting more than 11% into your retirement plan. So a really wonderful benefit going forward, starting 1/1 of 26. So again, the pay is actually considered your base pay plus 35% of the housing allowance. So that is taken into consideration. And again, for 2026, the amount is going to increase 2% per year in $5 increments. So we will always know what that extra $150 is going to be. So every year there's going to be a chart, and we'll know how much that amount will be increasing per year. Okay, so that's just a quick overview of what the Compass plan is going to be. And again, starting 1/1 of 26. If you're retiring before then, that does not pertain to your benefits. Now I want to talk a little bit more about investing your account before and after retirement. Now, when we talk about the benefits that we have here at WestPath, we like to say that because we do this, we practice sustainable investing. And what that means is we want to think about the long haul, not about just these up and down changes that are happening in the market. We want to think about for the long term and into the future. And it also means that we are a socially responsible investor. So we invest in accordance with we invest in accordance with the social principles of the United Methodist Church, and we invest in companies and countries that are environmentally and socially responsible and have strong internal governance practices. So the investments not only hold up over time, but uphold the values of the United Methodist Church. We have several different funds that we have, and they are classified as like a capital preservation fund. We've got fixed income funds or bonds. We also have the equity and stock funds. So we do have low and competitive expenses with no sales charges, advertising or commissions. So you're not going to see us advertising during the Super Bowl. So what that means is that more of the fund stays where it needs to be in the fund. And then we also can actually manage you can manage your own investments or enroll in life stage investment income. I've talked about that. Todd's talked about that. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we continue going forward. So let's continue through and let's discuss the actual investments that we have. So the investment categories and funds here, I'm going to be focusing on the blue boxes. So that's going to be the categories. So on this slide, we've got the Capital Preservation Fund. And I want you to think about when I explain what that category is, then you'll be able to understand what kind of funds then are in that. So the Capital Preservation Fund to start with is one of our most conservative funds. You can think of it like a certificate of deposit or maybe like a money market account. It does have a little bit of a flatter rate of return, but it does have some return on there. But the main goal for this is safety, as well as some income, okay? But it's mainly for safety. Hence the name of this fund that's in that is the Stable Value Fund, what's under this category. The next we have is the fixed income funds or the bond funds. So this gives a little bit of a higher rate of return than the Capital Preservation Fund. But what are bonds? So you've heard the term, but what are they really? But bonds are just basically debt securities where money is given to companies. And then the company then pays their participants back interest on the amount that's borrowed. Okay. So we do have 3 funds that are in this category, and they increase from conservative to moderate to aggressive in this particular type of fixed income funds or bond funds. The next we have I'm going to go to the bottom, and this is our equity funds or our stock funds. These are known as the growth and income funds. Over the long haul, these make your investments grow. I want you to note that we've got a few of these investments. They're in the billions of dollars. That's billions with a B. We did just add in our U.S. Equity Index Fund. That's a newer one that we just added in this year. So that's another one. But I want to make sure that you're aware that these are made up of small, medium, and large size companies in different vocations, ranging from technology to finance to manufacturing. And then the last one we have is our balance funds or our stocks and bonds. So this is actually a combination of our growth and income funds, but it's actually what's called a fund of funds. So if you look on there, this is actually a mix of funds we already have. So it's not one that you choose, but it's one that you can pick. It's got the international and U.S. equity funds, as well as some of the bond funds of the fixed income and inflation funds. Okay, so those are the types of funds that we have. And if you wind up self-managing funds yourself, then we also have the social value choice suite of funds. This is for participants with a heightened focus on companies' environmental and social performance. Excuse me, sorry. So these are some additional funds that you can actually pick if you wind up self-managing the funds yourself. But on this next slide, this is a slide I really like. This is showing all of the potential return and the risk associated with all of the funds that we have. So as I mentioned with the stable value fund, we have that the capital preservation fund with the stable value fund, and that's the one at the bottom. So that has the lowest risk. It also has the less for potential return. But as you continue up that slide, you wind up getting a little bit more risky, but you have more potential for return. And see where all of our funds land on that risk versus potential return scale. And all of these are generally correlated. So when you have looking at the international equity funds, that's going to be you have the most risk, but it also has the most potential for return. So a great slide showing you all of the different funds that we have. Now, when we talk about the participant investments, you've got several different options. Again, as we mentioned, we've got life stage investment management, which we'll talk about a little bit more in more detail. Then we also have the ones where you can self-manage, where you actually pick them yourself. Or another option is, of course, you can contact EY Financial Planning Services, and they can help you through any questions you may have regarding all of our different investment funds as well. So let's delve a little bit more into life stage investment management and what it is. So this is actually a management tool for all of the defined contribution accounts. Remember, defined contributions are going to be those account balances, not any of the defined benefit where you're getting an annuity. So just your defined contribution account. So like your UMPIP and that 35% of MPP. And also there's a portion there of the CRSP. We like to say that this sets your accounts on autopilot. But again, that doesn't mean that nothing is being done with those funds. Everything is being done behind the scenes, and every retirement is going to be different. So mine's going to be different from Todd's, going to be different from Karen's and Francis. So everybody's going to be different based on all of those, that personalized tool that you have, based on all the different variables affecting the fund allocation, such as your age, your risk tolerance, eligible Social Security. All those different factors are going to be different for everybody else. So life stages will adjust your investment mix over time as necessary to keep you on target to reach your goals, right? So what this life stage investment management does then is it, again, creates that diversified investment portfolio for each individual person, and sets that asset allocation, and it's reviewed quarterly based on your birth date. So as I mentioned earlier regarding life stage investment management, if we deem your percentage being at 70% for stocks and 30% for bonds, if during that time period, that quarterly time period, if it winds up being back up to 50-50, we actually want you back at that 70-30 mark. So with that in mind, we will sell some off of the bonds to get that back down to 30, and then invest it back into stocks to get you back to that 70-30 mix that we want you in. So that's what's called rebalancing, because your accounts can drift over time, go up and down, because the markets go up and down every day. But we want you in that optimal mix for you. And again, that actually, you can actually be in this while you're in active service, but you can also be in it while you're in retirement as well. Now, when we talk about an actual investment profile, you have the ability to actually choose what that is. If you don't have a personal investment profile on file with us, then we will put you in what's called a default. The default is where you actually have a moderate risk tolerance, benefits commence at age 65, and that you're eligible for Social Security. For example, on this one, if we don't have one on file, then this is what your default is. For me, my commencement date is going to be age 67. So that would be something that I would definitely want to change, because if my investment profile is saying, oh, you're going to retire at 65, when I'm going to retire at 67, that's a couple more years, to, have that investing power in there. So definitely something you want to think about. We can, our customer solutions team can actually help set that up for you, or there's ways that you can do that on Benefits Access as well. Okay. Now, as I mentioned a little bit earlier about the rebalancing, here's just a nice visual showing you exactly how that can happen. So looking at the purple pie piece, see how that before the rebalancing, we're at 29%. After rebalancing, we're at 34%. So again, we're taking money from other funds that you have to get you back into that balance where we need you to be. Okay, so just showing you as a visual what that is. All right, we are now going to talk about the investment information at Westpath. There is no shortage of information at your disposal to review the investments available to you and those you may be in. So on westpath.org, you can get detailed descriptions of each fund and see how they performed daily, quarterly, year to date, however you want. We use benchmarks to compare ourselves to funds of similar type, income, equity, etc., to see how we stand up next to our peers, and we actually are doing very well, I must say. Tap ourselves on our back here. As we stated, we have low expense ratios, which means more the fund performance stays where it should actually in the fund. So now I want to go through some distribution options that you have in retirement. When you have these distribution options, what many people do is actually take what's called a cash installment, where you take money out on a monthly basis. So you have a couple options there. You can either take money out at having life stage retirement income actually do it for you. Again, as Todd and I talked about, keeping that money through the field goal example, not taking money out too fast, not taking money out too slow. We want that just right. Just put that right down the middle for that field goal. Or you're able to take money out. You tell us how you want that money. Again, $500 one month, $1,000 the next month, $10,000 the next month. You tell us. We can do that for you. Other options are taking the money out as a full lump sum or a partial lump sum. You're more than welcome to do that. It is your money. We do caution clergy that if you wind up taking money out on a full or partial lump sum, you could lose part of your housing allowance exclusion, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So it's just something we want to caution people on. But of course, you're more than welcome to do so. At your passing, any balance you have in the account balances accounts will go to your beneficiaries. And also note that, again, as we mentioned previously, you can leave the money on account until you reach that required minimum distribution age or the RD stage. You don't have to worry about that. We will let you know what that will be. We keep track of that for you. If you're taking money out from us, and let's say that you're receiving $1,000 a month, which equates out to about $12,000 in a year, should your RMD have been, let's say, $8,000 or receiving more than what the RMD would be, then there's nothing more that has to be paid to you. If you're receiving that same $1,000 a month or $12,000 a year, but you should be receiving $18,000 in the year, then an RMD will need to be paid out to you at the end of the year for about $6,000. But again, we will keep track of that information for you. All right, now we want to talk about spending your retirement right. That's the main thing why we're here, we want to make sure that you have enough money to be able to enjoy it in retirement in this new stage of your life. So what that means is you can utilize life stage retirement income. Life Stage Retirement Income, we're very proud of this. It's an award-winning program. And again, it's designed to optimize your monthly retirement income from all of your defined contribution plans. Again, keeping you in that payment safety zone to allow for you to receive a monthly benefit for the rest of your life for those defined contribution plans. It does adjust annually based on your age, investment, growth, and loss. So during, when you have that field goal, you have options on either side. So you can actually move that goalpost, but you still want this to be, in this what we call the payment safety zone. This does utilize life stage investment management to actually utilize and have those funds invested. And again, the goal for this is to provide that monthly benefit for participants and or survivor for your lifetime. So think of it like, like we're doing an annuity for you by having that monthly payment paid out under that life stage retirement income. Now, how do we set this up? Setting it up is pretty easy for everyone who's eligible to retire. You're able to go into Benefits Access and use the modeling tool. What that allows you to do is see what your payment looks like, and you can play around with it. And rest assured that the choices that you make in life stage retirement income right now won't go into place immediately. It allows you to figure out what's best for you, what your payment looks like, and you can combine all of your defined contribution balances into UMPIP and then draw a payment from that full amount or even a portion of that. You can experiment and even work with an EY representative or a benefit educator to walk you through that process of what it looks like when you commit different amounts of money from your account balance to life stage retirement income. Life stage retirement income, it also considers the account balance size, your age and the age of your spouse, and then your risk tolerance, so that the payment is personalized. Again, think of it like a monthly paycheck during retirement that comes from your savings account, kind of like that as thinking about what it's like. Now I want to talk about that flexibility and choice. Flexibility is key as to why these options are available. As I mentioned, your account balance funds are flexible. You have many options for them. The money can be transferred between life stage and UMPIP at any time you'd like. You can also add additional funds to your life stage retirement income, or you can take it away. Distributions are always an option, but remember what I mentioned about your housing allowance exclusion. You might lose that incredible tax savings opportunity on those distributions. But what is wonderful here is that there is no direct participant costs to be in or involved in these life stage solutions. And we also have two other options of the Social Security Bridge and the Longevity Income Protection that were recently added. And I'm going to describe both of those in the next couple of slides. So let's talk a little bit about that Social Security Bridge. So these two additional benefits, the first one were added in 2022, and these you can model in Benefits Access. Again, it's for everyone who's eligible to retire. The first optional feature is what we call the Social Security Bridge. And the way Social Security Bridge works is everyone has a full retirement age. I'm going to use myself as an example. My full retirement age is 67. So that means that when that I'll receive my full benefit from Social Security at 67. So just like the CRSP defined benefit, if I take the Social Security before my full retirement age, then my benefit is reduced. If I delay taking Social Security beyond my full retirement age, Social Security actually increases that benefit and it goes up about 8% per year for each year you delay taking Social Security after your full retirement age. So, for the example for myself, if I retire at 67 and then I begin Social Security at age 70, that means my Social Security benefit will be about 24% bigger or larger than if I took it at age 67, which is my full retirement age. But during that time between 67 and 70, I'm going to need some income, right? So what the life stage retirement income will do is that it will actually provide you with that income. So let's make this easy. Let's say my life stage retirement income payment is $1,500 and my Social Security payment would be $1,500, same amount. Okay, so when you sign up for that Social Security bridge, that means I'll be receiving that $1,500 that I actually signed up for my retirement from life stage. And it's not about going without Social Security payments. So I'm still going to receive that income and I'll receive that $1,500 I would receive from Social Security actually from my life stage retirement income. So I'll get $3,000 then from my life stage account. Okay. The next option we have is the longevity income protection. So a lot of words there, longevity income protection. What does that mean? Well, longevity income protection is actually just an annuity that you'll purchase through our partner, Pacific Life. We've been working with them since the spring of 2022 when this first came into play. So when this benefit first started, and that benefit is actually an annuity. Annuity, like your defined benefit, is something that you will receive for the life of your lifetime and potentially your spouse's lifetime. So for married clergy, it also has a survivor benefit of 70%. It can also help provide peace of mind, knowing that at age 80, you will receive another, excuse me, you receive another series of payments that you cannot outlive. We also want you to have the flexibility to spend more in your earlier years of retirement, knowing that you have this other stream of income that will come in. The purpose of both the Social Security Bridge and the Longevity Income Protection is to protect your life stage balance for the long haul. So when the time comes, we recommend you actually speaking with a financial advisor or EY Financial Planning Service to see if this option is right for you. Now, I've had a lot of words here, and I'm going to try to go through on a graph what this actually looks like. So this graph actually shows what it would look like if you actually did the Social Security Bridge and the Longevity Income Protection. You don't have to do both. You don't have to do either of them, or you can do one or the other. So the options are up to you. So if you're like me, this should hopefully hit home and hit it out of the park for you to help bring that visualization back to understanding what my words are actually saying. You'll see my full payment is coming from life stage when I retire at age 67. Okay. Now, your clergy, you still have your MPP annuity, you still have your CRS defined benefit annuity. That's separate from this money. Okay. You still have those payments and they are not used in calculating your account balances with life stage. Your life stage payment right here includes your life stage payment and what you would be receiving from Social Security. So now I reach the age of 70 and I decide to start collecting Social Security. This is what happens when you start receiving Social Security benefits. You'll notify us and let us know that you're getting that. So you're receiving your Social Security. The amount is higher because you receive cost of living increases, but now your dependence on life stage is actually decreased because you're starting to receive that Social Security. All right, so that teal text section is now a little bit smaller. Overall, you're receiving more income, but you're relying less on life stage. And then when you go from 67 until the age of 80, now we've got another wedge in there of our, and that's our longevity income protection. That's when that begins, when it's age 80. And now that life stage section at the bottom is even smaller, so your dependency on is even more, or is less than what is needed because you've received the longevity income protection as well as that Social Security. So you're protecting that balance over the long haul. So the overall retirement income through Life Stage Retirement Income Program is to provide that steady stream of income. The intentions are to increase the payments annually if the assets can support an increase. Now, a lot of information there. So is this right for me? Let's think about that. When the time comes, ask yourself, which of these options may be right for me? Life stage retirement income is right for most, but which specific options would be best for you? If you have opted out of Social Security or are past Social Security age, then Social Security Bridge would not be an option for you. As I mentioned before, my parents are 85 and 90, so I might personally think about the longevity income protection plan, as there's a good chance that I will live longer than the age of 80. Again, how is your health? If you have any significant issues, the longevity income protection may not be right for you. Another reason to review your financial situation with the EY Financial Planning Services. So when playing with the life stage tool that I will show you during the benefit access demo that we'll have later on, think about moving any other eligible retirement money over to UMPIP to boost your balances. Again, rolling that money over, and I can actually help you with that. Some of the rollover specialists here at path. All right, now I want to talk about the required minimum distributions. And these distributions are actually, you can leave that money on account until the age of 73 or age 75. And again, this is based on the on your birth date, whether you're 73 or 75. This applies to your defined contribution accounts. Again, your UMPIP, your CRSP, and your MPP 35%. And again, subsequent RMDs each calendar year use the prior year balance. And that if you haven't taken any of your other benefits, you need to take them at that time when this comes into play. So here is the slide showing exactly how the RMD age is calculated. So if you were born between 1951 and 1958, your RMD age is 73. And if you're born after 1959 or later, then your RMD age is actually 75. All right, so when we're talking about the RMD, we do have federal tax that's withheld on these benefits. And this is we do take federal tax distributions. This is a federal tax mandate. It's not a Westpath item here. So this amount, we do take a 20% federal tax on partial or full distributions, but on the RMDs, we take a 10% federal tax withholding. All right, I think I've gone over on my slides for Todd. So Todd, if you want to come in and actually start up as of the initial benefits, I just got, I was just on a roll. I just want to keep on going. So Todd, feel free.
Thank you. I was cheering you're on a roll.
It's like, hey, let's keep on going, right? All right, so I'm going to stop sharing so you can share yours.
Perfect.
And I hope I don't see that there are any other questions, so please feel free to make sure that you're using that Q&A box. If you have questions regarding this information, we know it can be confusing, but we're here to help with all that, and hopefully this information is giving you more information and hopefully making it a little bit easier to understand. All yours,
Perfect.
Todd.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you, Cheryl. RMDs are depending on age. So if you're born after 59, it's 73. I'm sorry, 75. And if you're born from 51 to 58, it's 73. What I find interesting is that back before COVID, the RMD used to be 70 and a half. So it was the April 1st after you turn 70 and a half. which I tried to sit down and figure out what my 70 and a half birthday would be. And I wasn't confident I was successful. So now it's whole numbers. It's 73 or 75, but they've changed it twice since then. So we'll keep you apprised of any changes going forward. I think Cheryl did a great job explaining. Make sure you keep your benefits access account up to date with all of your phone numbers and email addresses, so that if we need to reach out to you, we definitely can. Okay, so for those individuals that are going to retire next July 1, July of 2025, congratulations. Your first benefit payment would arrive approximately July 7th. And the reason why we say approximately is because we always use the last business day of June as the deadline to select your benefits. And then we typically take 3 days to run all the financial processes and double check, probably even triple check. And that takes a little bit of time. The July 4th holiday, while important, it does impact that initial delivery date. So that's why we say approximately July 7th. If you're not retiring July of 2025, it'll be the same kind of format. You'll make those choices by the last business day in June, and then at 3 p.m. Central, you'll make those by that deadline, and then it'll likely be about the same time that it'll be delivered. Ongoing, so then August, you'll receive 2 payments. Your annuity payments, MPP annuity, CRSPDB, those will arrive on the first business day of the month. So if the first is a Saturday, it'll arrive that Monday. Okay. The cash installment payments are deposited separately. The cash installment would include the self-managed. So you go into your distribution system and say, I'd like $1,500 a month. That also includes the life stage retirement income. So payments from the cash balances will arrive on the second or third business day of the month. So the first of the month is a Saturday. Those would arrive by Tuesday or Wednesday the following week. So now let's talk about the housing allowance exclusion. So this is a wonderful tax break for clergy. It's available only to clergy. It's available to clergy outside of the United Methodist Church. So denominations, other pastors, reverends of other denominations can also participate in this and use this. This allows you to exclude income from federal taxes. How much? It depends. It depends on your situation, and that depends could change over time. And we have a document called the Housing Allowance Exclusion Worksheet. It looks like an IRS document, but it's actually put together by Westpath. And what you'll do each year, so this is in your retired status with your annual conference. And this exercise is between you and the IRS. So you'll want to keep track of how you landed on the amount that you're excluding. And there's 3 scenarios that you'll look at. And the first one is voted on each annual conference, and that's the amount that's designated as the housing allowance. I've only heard of annual conferences designating the housing allowance as a percentage of what you receive from Westpath. And I've only heard of annual conferences passing it at 100%. So that means 100% of what you receive in income from Westpath can be excluded. So right off the beginning, it starts off in a good foot, right? 100% of what you receive from Westpath can be excluded. However, you'll see that little statement up at the top that says amount to be excluded is the least of. So it's the least of these 3 scenarios. So the first scenario we already know, and this is from the annual conference. Passing that housing allowance resolution. The second is what you actually spent in housing. So that includes mortgage payment, interest, principal, property taxes, homeowners insurance, furnishings, utilities. You can even keep track of paper towels and Windex and gas for the lawnmower. So all of those would go into that, what you spent to live in that house. And of course, this is your primary residence. And then the third one is what your home would rent for, and what your home would rent for, including utilities and furnishings. So for here, it's suggested to work with a realtor or potentially an appraiser to come up with a document that demonstrates what your home would rent for with some comparables. So there's, they can compare to say, this 3-bedroom house in this area, in this neighborhood is like yours, and they would both rent for a certain amount per month, right? So you would keep track of those 3 amounts. And this housing allowance exclusion worksheet, I think we'll be sending this to you with the recording as well. So you'll have it electronically. You could print it out, give it to your accountant or the person that does your taxes. If you do your own taxes, God bless you. That is amazing. I have given up on that a long ago. I want somebody else to help me. So however you do your taxes, you'll want to make sure that you keep track of these 3 scenarios. Housing allowance exclusion worksheet does a wonderful job for that, because there's actually sections that suggest what's included in each of those amounts. Okay, so now let's do some easy math. So in this example, Reverend Waters, they received $24,000 in pension from Westpath, and we know it's the least of those 3 scenarios. So 24,000 in pension, 100% of that was designated as the housing allowance exclusion. Great, we've got that. We spent time in keeping track of all of those expenses to live in that primary residence, and it came out to an even round number of 20,000. We received a letter from our local realtor saying our home would rent for 21,000 for the year, including furnishings and utilities. Okay, so now we know that what we can exclude is the lesser of the least of those 3. So the smallest number under the housing allowance exclusion bullet point is 20,000. So that's what we actually spent on housing. So now that means we can exclude $20,000. So how do we do that? So we subtract 20,000, the housing allowance exclusion, from what we received or what you received from Westpath in pension, and that's 24. So that means that you're taxed on 4,000 in this example instead of 20. That's a big, big tax break. The housing allowance is available to retired clergy. It's not transferable or applicable to the surviving spouse unless that surviving spouse is also retired clergy. Only available for your primary residence. And then on the back page of the housing allowance exclusion, there's a little note that last paragraph, so paragraph 4. I like to read this because, like Cheryl's example with the Social Security bridge and the longevity income protection, I think that paints a very good picture on those 2 or 3 features in life stage. I think this statement, for me at least, wraps it up and provides a good explanation of what's going on here. So, middle of the 4th paragraph, it says, I received, in this example, 24,000 from the UMC Benefit Board, Inc., as reported by the attached 1099-R. I did not include 20,000 of this amount on line 5B because it has been excluded under the provisions of Section 107 of the Internal Revenue Code as a housing allowance exclusion. As a United Methodist clergy person, I'm entitled to take this housing allowance exclusion. So that's pretty succinct, pretty straightforward. And I like reading that because I think it wraps it up. It wraps it up nicely.
And Todd, we do have a question the question regarding the housing allowance exclusion, that it pertains to pension only or also the other distributions or maybe even a Roth, etc.
Very good. Very good. I owe you a cup of coffee. That's a perfect question. It's everything that you receive from WestPath. So that would include CRS PDB, that would be pre-82, MPP annuity, that would include everything there. That also your cash installment payments.
And also, if pre-tax contributions to an IRA, 401k, 403b be rolled over to WestPath, would those pre-tax contributions be eligible for the housing allowance exclusion in retirement, even if the original contributions arose prior to ministerial service?
That is a great question too. And I would defer you back to EY on a definitive answer on that. Believe it has to be part of a church plan, and those wouldn't necessarily be part of a church plan. So in all likelihood, I would say no, but you'd want to get the definitive answer from EY.
Yeah, that would be correct. So even so it should be tax or it should be church plans that is part of that, but you will have the W4 come out at the end of the year, and we'll be all together, but it should be separated out. Right.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
So just a quick review of the death and disability benefits. We like to just hit the highlights on this, just to let you know that these benefits are there. There was a change, a positive change from the General Conference of 2024. So with CPP, that's Clergy Protection Plan. That's a mandatory participation for all eligible clergy serving full time. The plan sponsor can elect 3/4 time as well. With the death benefits, there's a death benefit for active and retired clergy, as well as spousal, surviving spouse. In the case of an unfortunate case of a child passing away, there's also surviving child benefits and a minimum surviving spouse retirement benefit. So these are important benefits. You might not know you have them until you need them. So this is why we provide a little bit of an overview of these. We generally don't go too far in depth with this, but we do like to hit the high points so that you're aware. So with the retiree death benefit, so this is for retirees. The eligibility is what's listed here in these 3 bullet points. So the eligibility, so to be eligible to receive a benefit, you need to be eligible to receive a benefit from CRSP at the time of retirement, and you'll need to be enrolled in CPP for 12 of the last 15 years, or have been an active participant in CPP for 25 years. If you're not sure if you're eligible, you can always contact the WestPath Participant Solutions and ask about that. So beginning this January 1, there's a harmonization. I couldn't wait to get to this point in the presentation to say harmonization. So there's now that the death benefits are similar, and General Conference of 2024 did just that. So it's an equal flat dollar death benefits for retirees, active participants, and dependents. So for active participants, active clergy passing away, the death benefit would be $50,000. So who would receive that benefit? Well, that benefit would go to the surviving spouse, right? A retired participant, so this means that they're retired, a retired clergy person passes away, their beneficiary would receive $24,000. An active or retired spouse would receive $16,000, or actually in the passing of a active or retired spouse, the beneficiary would receive 16,000. And then an active or retired surviving spouse, their beneficiary would receive 12,000. And then active or retired child that's eligible, the beneficiary would receive 8,500. Long-term disability is also managed out of the benefit plans department. I'm sitting here today in the office in my cubicle, and the active or our disability group just sits a couple of chairs away from me. And this is another benefit that you might not be aware that is available to you unless you need it. So we like to talk about these as well. So there's long-term disability. If you are in this circumstance, you're likely having regular conversations with the disability team here at WestPath. The disability amount is 70% of the pre-disability plan compensation. That includes housing plus cash. That will increase 3% per year. So then if you're on disability and you're progressing to applying for Social Security, once Social Security disability begins, there's an offset dollar for dollar based on what you're receiving from the Social Security benefit. And then there's also you'll need to meet that definition of disability, which is unable to perform duties due to injury or illness for at least 6 continuous months. You'll also likely need to recertify on a periodic basis, and WestPath will help you with that and notify you of that as well. Cheryl talked a little bit about some of the resources and that there's no shortage of information, and she is exactly right. On westpath.org, you can look at all the different funds. There's pictures of the fund managers. You can look to see who the money managers are that help out with that. So there's tons of research available to you at your fingertips on westpath.org. In your benefits access account, there's a couple of really cool features. The first of which is a benefit projection. So WestPath is currently working on updating the benefit projection because it needs to accommodate that change, as in moving that 65% of the MPP balance into life stage. And it also needs to close CRSP participation. So those are currently being worked on. We hope that the projection tool will be ready soon. The new design will look probably something like this because it's formatted in a pretty straightforward way. Upper right-hand corner will be your name, the date that it was run. The benefit commencement date will be up in that little corner there. So this is July 1 of 2027. This was run prior to that latest update. So what we see here at the top is lifetime income. That includes the CRSP DB, and there's 2 service periods. You'll see a payment for each to the right. And then down below is the MPP, and it says annuity 65%, and then shows what that monthly payment is. So the lifetime income, CRSP DB and MPP annuity, is at this point $3,070. And this is also based on life in 70 and a 2% COLA. When you run projections from your account, you get to make those different choices. So you can run it for a different COLA. You can also run it for a different annuity type, as well as a different commencement date. And each one of those options will likely change your lifetime income a little bit. I'll advertise and promote signing up for a consultation with one of the benefit educators a little bit later today in our presentation, but that we love running those projections, and we can help you run projections, and so can EY. In the middle section here, we have the account balances. And the account balances, remember, they offer flexibility because you get to decide and you get to change. Whereas with the lifetime income, it offers security, safety, because these are lifetime benefits that you can't outlive. And if you're married and pick a joint annuity, a payment would continue to your spouse, offering that security. So you'll see here, this shows what the account balance, the 35% of MPP, your CRS PDC, and your UMPIP, you'll get to see what each of those account balances projected to July 1 of 27, you'll get to see what those account balances will generate. So 721, 248, and 263. So each of them are showing the financial power they all possess. And then the total for the account balance is 1232. That's an additional 1232. So 1232 plus the lifetime benefit of 3070 comes out to $4,302 in this projection. And then down below, we'll see an estimated income replacement ratio. So that shows as a percentage. So this is 76.05%. So that $4,300 represents 76.05% of this participant, and this is our demo account. So they're doing pretty well. They're replacing 76% of their working income. The higher the number, the better. Financial planners like you to be at 80 to 85% or higher. Sometimes we run these and they're at 105 or 106%. So that means that they're making more money in retirement. Their plans are generating more money in retirement than it was when they're working. That's a good situation to be in, but you don't always have to be there to have a comfortable retirement. This estimated income replacement ratio doesn't include Social Security, and you can add about another 30, 35% on top of that. So in this example, 30%, they would receive with Social Security about 106% of their working income. That's a great situation to be in. So once these are available, once we can run projections again, we will let you know. And then at that point, you can sign up for some consultations and we can have some fun. So EY Financial Planning Services, I've been asked if we get paid based on the number of times we say EY. And I like to say EY, EY, EY. Why would you ask that? But we don't. But they are a terrific group of people. Westpath has been paying the fees for EY to work with clergy and laity for about the last 17, 18 years. They provide such a great product, and you can begin that conversation just by using that 800 number there. You could also navigate, you could enter that URL into a web browser and then set up an EY Navigate account. When you do that, you have access to all of EY tools. So if you're wondering, I have $100,000 in an IRA that's outside of Westpath, if I start taking out 3% per year beginning at the age of 65 and get a 5% rate of return, how long will that last? Well, you can ask your EY financial planner that, or they have some do-it-yourself tools that are available at that URL when you set up your account. So they are a wonderful resource, and they have tons of financial tools as well. Some common questions: how much can you afford in housing in retirement? What will your income look like? That includes spouse's income, retirement income too. They could talk to you about your Social Security benefits, taking it early, taking it on time at full retirement age, taking it late, and then the options of Social Security bridge through life stage retirement income, longevity income protection. What does that financial picture look like for you? What COLA should I pick? Should I go with a lower COLA and receive more upfront? Should I go lower COLA and receive more with longevity? Ways to secure a down payment for housing. You can actually take a loan in retirement for or from UMPIP, and you could use that loan to pay for that down payment. When you take a loan from UMPIP, that's not a taxable distribution because you're paying it back. It's only taxable if you default on it. So they are a terrific resource. I was once doing a presentation in Missouri, and a participant asked me, he said, Todd, I'm retiring at 62, so I'm retiring early. My accountant says that I can't use the housing allowance exclusion until I turn 65. And I said, we were getting ready leading up to a break, and I thought, who could we ask to confirm that? And it's always the smart person in the back said, EY could tell us that, right? And I said, yes, absolutely. Let's take a break. I'll call EY and then we'll come back with the answer. So I quickly picked up the phone. I asked that question. They said, no, you don't have to wait until 65. The point is when you retire. So if you retire at 62, you retire at 63, you're still able to use that housing allowance exclusion because you're in retired status with your annual conference. So we said some jokes and had some good laugh, but it was a great way to demonstrate the quality of and the speed of their information. I apologize for seeing me twice. That's my picture up there. I laugh every time I see this because I think every single person in Westpath has reviewed this slide deck for accuracy, consistency, and they still let my picture to be in that computer. So our communications department has a terrific sense of humor. So what this is, you can meet with one of us, a benefit educator, so that's Cheryl and myself. It's also Bob Christoffel and Frank O'Brien, who weren't on the call today, but they both have presented at Baltimore, Washington on numerous occasions. And all of us are well suited to take you through that consultation process. And to sign up, you would just click, well, actually you'd take a picture of that and you'd enter that link into a web browser, and then you come up to Sign Up Genius. And what you'll likely see is anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks worth of appointments into the future. Now, if you want an appointment, let's say December 15th at 3 p.m., you'll need to wait until November to make that appointment. We like to limit how far in advance you can set those appointments up, because we want to make sure that we're careful leading up to January 1, because we do have folks that retire, participants that we retire January 1. We like to make sure that those appointments are available for those folks. And also leading into July 1, we want to make sure that the June appointments don't get filled from our January, February, and March webinars and in-person events. So you can go there. We actually will send you a Teams meeting for your appointment time via email. And then at the time of the appointment, we log in, you log in, we can see each other. We secure the call just like you're talking to Westpath. And then we dive into your account. We share your account with you, and we answer all of your questions. If you have more than 30 minutes worth of questions, by all means, we can set up another consultation. If you wanted to meet periodically, we can definitely do that as well. It wouldn't be a Westpath webinar without some action planning, without some to-do steps. If you are registered for benefits access, that's terrific. If you're not, we recommend that you get registered as soon as you can, because retirement will go through benefits access. So you will use benefits access to make your choices. And then also review your beneficiary designation. I like to tell the story. My wife worked for the same company at this point for about 22 years or so. And the summer of 22, we went in to take a look at her accounts, and she was set up as a single life annuity. She gets a defined benefit from her company. I'm like, why are you single? I thought we were married. And we went in to look. I wasn't added as a beneficiary yet. So we were able to go in, add me as a beneficiary. The kids were there as secondary, but for 22 years, I wasn't in that system yet. So Cheryl mentioned with beneficiaries, that's a place that we stop at during each consultation to make sure the beneficiaries are listed the way you would like to see them. Review and potentially update or change your UMPIP contribution rate. Are you in life stage investment management? Go into that life stage investment management section and check it out. The benefit projection tool, when it comes back, will be amazing because it'll be able to quantify what your benefits will pay at a particular date in the future. And then you can't say enough about EY. They're wonderful. You can, when you register for EY Navigate, you can also see a picture of the planner that you're working with. If you don't hit it off with that financial planner, you can always switch planners. We don't hear that very often. It is possible that a planner might move off the WestPath account, but they keep meticulous notes and they'll be able to transition to another planner if that happens. And then here are some important numbers. So WestPath Participant Solutions would be listed at the top. That would be, oh, I'm having trouble getting into benefits access. Can you help me? The retirement team phone number is they work with each year's retiring class and also those that are already retired. So definitely great resources. I believe we'll also send you the slide deck as part of that recording email.
All right, everyone, we are back. It is 20 minutes before the hour, and we're going to go through a benefit access demo. Now, what I want to show you here is this is just our test environment. So it can be a little slow at times. It could be, we like to say temperamental, but when I tested it earlier today, it worked just fine. I'll be a little slow. But how do you get here? You get here going to westpath.org, and then in the upper right-hand column or right-hand portion of the screen right up in here, there is a button called Benefits Access, and that's where you'll get to here. Okay. So again, this is the test environment. You first get to the summary screen. But where we're going to go is actually the retirement tab. So come over here and see how that lights up blue. We're going to go right to that. Now from here, it gives you great information regarding all of your the account balances and where the amounts are invested. Again, you can click on any of this information that's here. It tells you where the assets are allocated. So again, test environment, don't worry about the numbers. I know they look really high, but that's just to show all the different features that we have. Also, in EY and Financial Planning Services number is listed on here too. There's an option on here to let EY be able to see your benefit access account. All you need to do is click on this button saying, right now it's clicked as on. You can also click it as off. So it's off, so they cannot actually see your account. But if you click on it for on, then they can see your account. It helps if you wind up talking to them during those consultations with them, so then they can walk through it right along with you. Now, when we go through and actually are at that point where you're going to be selecting your benefits when you retire, this is where you're going to go. So under the retirement tab, you're going to go to accounts. Okay. Accounts is where you're actually going to be clicking first. You click on accounts, brings up a nice little menu of all the different things that you can see under there. Only thing that I want you to go to right now is under account summary. Click on account summary. This might take a little bit of time. This is where it's retrieving data. Oh, actually, it's going to be a little bit faster than I had it earlier today, so that's a good thing. This is your summary screen. And from your summary screen, once you are in the system as being eligible to retire and you've got your retirement date out here, the system will be set up for you to actually see this man with the glass. We like to say the happy man with the glass because look, he's got these, wrinkles around the eyes. Like, hey, he's smiling. Yay. He's going to be signing up for his benefits. So what you want to do then is just click on this link here. It says review and manage your retirement benefits. When you click on that, you're going to have several different options that you can actually pick from. And I think it's going. I think it's just taking some time. Try again. So you're going to have many different options here. You're going to be able to pick your lifetime benefits. Again, those are your defined benefits. You'll also be able to pick your defined contribution or your DC type of accounts as well. All right, so it's being a little finicky right now. As I mentioned, see, it's a little finicky. Let's try this again. Otherwise, I have another way that I can go in and actually show you this. Oh, it's just taking its time. All right, so this gives you some retirement benefits and actually kind of shows you exactly about how much you can receive on a monthly basis for this top portion here. When you come down a little bit here, this is where you actually have your lifetime income, which again are your defined benefits. Again, the amount that you're gonna is gonna last for your lifetime, and then you also have your life stage retirement income for your defined contribution counts, and then that button is here for get started. Again, for all of these different benefits, CRSP defined benefit, you got your MPP annuity, and then the pre-82, and then all of these have a get started button. Once you click on that get started, that's going to start your process to actually start deciding what those benefits are going to be. So we're going to go ahead and start on the defined CRSP defined benefit. What you're going to want to do is pick your first payment date. If you're retiring as of July 1st of 2025, you want to pick that date. When I went in here earlier, that wasn't an option. So again, test environment is not, this will be different when you sign up for benefits. I'm just going to utilize January 1st of 2025. Again, you'll put in your date that you'll be retiring. And then out of these 1 of 7 steps, sounds like a lot, but they really go quite quickly. We're going to go into continue. Okay, so that was step 1. We're already on the next step. From here, this particular test account that we have this as being a joint account. So there is a spouse on here. So if there is a spouse, then you'll want to, again, make sure that all the information on here is correct for that spouse. Again, some of those benefits are based on spousal information. That's why it is important to make sure that is correct. You do need to click on this button in order to verify the information is correct. If I don't click that, you can't continue. Okay, so watch this blue box change to a little bit darker blue after I click this. Okay, now I can click on it. See, I get the little hand. All right, so we can now click on that. We check that all that information is correct. And now we will go to actually picking a defined benefit. The system is automatically set up to choose life and 70%. So as Todd and I both talked about, life is the amount that the clergy person receives. The percentage is what the contingent annuitant or the spouse receives. So on here, you can see in the box for to you, that means to you, meaning the life or the clergy person. This is the amount of the benefit that the clergy person will receive. And then 70, 85, or 100% is what the spouse will receive. So you can see the amount there in real time, how much that benefit would be. I'm just going to stay with the 70% that's listed here, but if you want to change this, you just click on that radio button and then it changes to that particular benefit. Okay. So if I click it back to the life in 70. Now, because of when I went through the defined benefit, there is 2 different time frames from 2007 through 2013, and then another benefit from 2014 through the present. You have different options to pick on here as well. So you have to do 2 of them. It automatically goes to the life in 70. But again, you can pick whichever one you like. Now, Todd had mentioned about the whole COLA, the cost of living adjustment. What I want you to focus on is this amount here, the 464.10, and see, and this is based on a 2% COLA. If I were to change this to a 5% COLA, watch how that number is going to change. I do this for the dramatics, so it goes down quite a bit. So let's see how it went down to 316.88. Now if I go back to that 2%, goes back up to the 464. Remember, the higher the COLA, the lower the initial monthly benefit. But then again, over time, that amount will be raising at a higher benefit. So again, generally the cost of living right now has been between 2 and 3%. So that's why we do default to 2%. But if you want to change it to a higher, you're more than welcome to do that. But then you will see how those numbers change. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at the life in 70, and then with the 2% COLA, and then I will continue. Now note that this, whatever benefits you choose during this, they are not going to become effective until the day before that initial monthly benefit is due. Okay, so you can make changes throughout all this time, but up until 3 o'clock the day before the benefits commence, that's when you won't have any time to change those after that. Okay. Now we're already on step 4. Step 4 is where you actually do some tax withholding if you want to. Now, you can actually state that you don't want any taxes withheld. That's how this is set up. But if you want to have taxes withheld, then you can actually contact EY to see if you need that, or your tax advisor, your accountant, and go and try to fill this form out. Right now, we have on here that we don't want federal taxes withheld. And some people, when they do a half a year for a benefit, like if you are retiring in the middle of the year, you've already paid taxes on the full salary for half the year, and then maybe you don't pay taxes for the other half of the year, and then you can change it for, the following year after that. Some people have done that. Just, it's an option. You have many options for that. So after you fill this out, then you would hit continue. So we're already cruising along here. Next stop is deposit information. So you want to put in your bank information. Once you put it in once, you won't have to put it in ever again. So you want to come back out here or call our customer solutions team if you wind up changing your bank account. But this is where you put that information in, bank's name. If you want to go in checking or savings, it tells you where on your check you would get the routing number and then your account number. So then that shows you where to put that information here. Once that's input in there, then you just hit continue. Okay. See how we're cruising along? It's going pretty quickly. So this last one is just verifying all the information we just put in. So we've got a payment date. We've got our spouse information is on here correctly. We decided on a life in 70 with a 2% COLA, which gave you an estimated monthly amount of $425. Life in 70 for the time period after January of 14 gives you a monthly amount of here. Total, almost $900. Our personal information is here. We put in our, West Bath address as the, ours, our clergy person's address. We decided not to have any taxes withheld, and we have our bank account information. So just make sure that you're aware that once you make these choices, your elections are irrevocable. Now, again, you have up until the day before the benefits are to commence to make changes, and I'll show you how to do that. You do need to check this box. So again, you can't click here on submit until you've agreed and read all the terms and conditions. Okay, so I'll click that box. Now it's nice and blue. Now we can actually submit. And when I did this earlier, it actually gave me confirmation. Sometimes it hasn't been doing that, but I will show you where you can see. Okay, there we got the confirmations. That's your 7 of 7. See, that wasn't so bad, right? So now you have your confirmation. You can print this if you want, but that is your confirmation. Now, how do we go back to choose our other benefits? We're going to go back to accounts, account summary, and there's our happy man with the glasses again. Okay, we click back on this link of review and manage your retirement benefits. Hopefully it goes quickly this time, and it did. All right, so we're back here. Now we can see that our option here is pending. Okay, it did say get started. Now it says pending. If you want to change this, click on the pending. And now it's going to come up and say you have pending actions. We submitted it on this date and time, and this is for the defined benefit. Say you want to change this to a 3% COLA. You can do that, but you'll need to cancel this one in order to redo it. How do you cancel it? Just click on the cancel button. Okay, we'll go ahead and do that. Click cancel. It's going to give you a warning message. It's like, okay, here's your pending, cancel your pending action. Do you really want to do it or do you not want to do it? Let's go ahead and cancel it. And we're waiting. And then we're going to come back and it's going to state that, all right, you currently have no pending actions. Now, we want to go back and change that. All we do is go back to accounts, account summary, come back to that happy man with the glasses, review and manage your retirement benefits. And you have that first box that's available for you to get started again. Okay, so you can go ahead and do that. Your MPP, your pre-82, same type of thing, same way, same steps to go through. One thing I also want to show you, I know we only have about 5 minutes here. I want to just show you a little bit about the life stage retirement income. This is where you have the option to pick for your all of your defined contribution accounts. So this is still taking some time to load. But this is where you can pick your Social Security bridge, your longevity income protection if you want to as well. So pretty much you just kind of go through these different steps on the side. So program overview, if you want to hear about this program, our manager's manager, Martin Bauer, wonderful guy. He has a great synopsis of what this plan is and how it can be best for most everyone. So feel free to listen to that. The next step we have is our Social Security estimate. Now, as we mentioned, you can go into ssa.gov and you can pull up your Social Security account. It tells you there what your estimated Social Security amount will be. So you can actually utilize that to put that number in for your Social Security estimate at full retirement age, okay? You do need to answer the first question of, are you receiving benefits yet? Or are you already receiving benefits, or you maybe opted out of Social Security? So answer one of those questions. We have it as not receiving benefits yet. We put in our amount that we're estimated at $2,100, and then we are going to submit that. It also does tell you here to pursue your personal online statement at ssa.gov. Hit submit. We are going to come back up over here to pick our MPP options. So as Todd had discussed, you have a couple of options. You can pick the annuity, or you can keep that 65% as in life stage retirement income. So again, you can click each one and it gives you an idea of how much you will be receiving for each one. Okay, so click either one you'd like, whatever is best for you. You can talk about the next one would be funding your life stage. So out of the amounts that you have in your accounts that are listed on here, you can state how much you actually want to have in your life stage retirement income. The reason you can have the full amount of $715,085, but this particular, as an example, we put in an amount that's about, let's say, almost $100,000 less. The reason why you might want to do that is maybe you want to have that $100,000 as maybe like an emergency fund. Say you just want to keep it set aside and maybe take money out of that later on if you need to. So you can certainly do that. If I want to change this to the maximum amount that you have that's in your actually in your defined contribution accounts, you can do that. You can put in the amount that you have, recalculate. The numbers will actually recalculate and tell you how much more that you'll be receiving on a monthly basis. Or show you how much it goes down if you put in a lesser amount. Okay. From there, then you can go on if you want to do your Social Security bridge. And you can decide when you want to have that start. You've got a nice little sliding bar here, sliding back and forth. So you can choose that. And then if you want to use the funds as your bridge or not use the funds for the bridge. So again, I'm going through this very quickly, so I do apologize. But if you have questions regarding this, again, contact us and the benefit educators. We can walk you through that or a customer solutions team as well. This is also where you would include if you want to take that longevity income protection, so you have an extra amount of money that starts when you're 80, and then another annuity. So this is showing you how much your benefit would be, and it would actually, and it shows you how much the cost would be. Or you can actually say that you don't want that annuity, longevity income protection. So a couple of different factors there. And then the next thing is that you can review and enroll in the benefits. Okay, so you can continue to the enrollment. And let's see the first payment date. I'm again using 1/1/25, and then just hit continue. All right, so all that information is here. Then you go through your bank options here. Sorry, your taxes. I'm sorry, I'm continuing pretty quickly here. And then your bank, agree and submit, and then boom, that will actually start that benefit as of 1/1/25. If again you don't want this, if you want to change that, you're more than welcome to do so up until the day before you actually start this benefit. So again, if you have questions regarding this, definitely reach out to us. I wanted to just again give you a big or a simple overview of that benefit, but that brings us to the end of our day today. So thank you so much for allowing Todd and I to be here and give you this information. And Francis, Karen, and Terry, thank you again for allowing us to be here. We so appreciate it. And we're here if you have any questions or concerns.
Thank you, Cheryl. I want to thank all our participants. We hope you find this presentation helpful. We know this is a lot of information, confusing information to some of you, okay? But studies have shown that clergy who are most prepared have attended this session up to 5 times prior to retirement. Again, a recording of this webinar will be sent to all of you. We do have about 50 more clergy that were not supposed to be here, but they wanted to see the video. We will send that to them as well. We will make the video and the link to the benefits one-on-one available on our respective websites, and easy put. And you can also call myself, you can call Terry, or you can call Karen. So if you are planning on retiring, in 2025. Please send your retirement request to Bishop Easterlin by December 1st. December 1st, okay? There will also, I want to assure you, the ones that are retiring, there will be another opportunity in the spring for the retiring class only, okay? To hear this webinar one more time before they go and click submit, you know. And Cheryl and Todd, this is my first time sitting through the benefit access. The way I look at it, I feel like we need another seminar just to navigate benefit access. So I want to thank you all. Thank you. It's a pleasure, working with the benefits team, and to all our clergy, have a safe afternoon. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.